Hello, folks, and welcome to this week's show of Bank Robber and the Bitcoin Guy. I'm Don Nacho, and my partner,
Forrest Baker, the Bank Robber,
over there in New Jersey. And today we're gonna talk to you about some crypto. We haven't talked about crypto yet. We actually attempted to talk about crypto one time, and it just got so discombobulated on my end that. And I was talking about so many different things because my brain is so filled with crypto stuff that it was just too much all over the place. So I ended up scrapping it. So anyway, today we just want to talk a little bit, at least in the first half here of the show, just talk about Bitcoin and tell you a little bit about it and why you should buy some. Again, disclaimer, we're going to say this once. Right in the beginning of the show, neither one of us are financial advisors, and this is not financial advice. And only invest what you can afford to lose.
As a full caveat, though, I do want the audience to know that I did play a financial advisor on television back in the late 1970s.
Are you serious?
Of course, I'm serious.
Wow, what show was that? Was that Matlock again?
It wasn't Matlock. I think it was an old Barnaby Jones episode. I'm not really sure.
Oh, Barnaby Jones, of course. Okay. Well, so let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin. And the first thing I want to say just right off the bat, just let's keep this simple. Bitcoin is a pretty deep rabbit hole to go down. It's a very fun rabbit hole to go down. And I would encourage any of you who have thought about it, heard about it, don't like the situation that our government money is in right now. I would encourage all of you to go down this rabbit hole and start to explore different resources out there and get yourself educated. There's great movies on Netflix you can watch about Bitcoin to educate yourself a bit, and check some of those out and about cryptocurrency, and just learn as much as you can. Because this is the future. Wouldn't you say that, Forrest? I
would agree with you. I think that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are not going anywhere. I don't see a possibility of the technology behind cryptocurrencies ever leaving us. They are embedded now within our financial institutions, even as we speak right now. Yeah.
And that's a good point. The big boys are coming. They're here. They're buying. So as an investor, what I try to do is I try to follow what the big players are doing. I want to at least be aware of what they're doing, and what they're buying, I want to have some of, because they're not going to buy stuff that's going to crash tomorrow, right? So a lot of the big boys are trying to get Bitcoin. One of the problems they have is they can't get enough of it. There's only so much of it. So it'd be like trying to go out and buy like a ton of gold or a ton of some new metal or something. It's hard to get their hands on. The thing is there is a finite supply. So just so the audience knows, there's 21 million of these things that will ever be in existence. So that's imagine if we had a finite supply to our money. We don't. The problem with our money is they can keep printing it and printing it and printing it, and the more they print, the less value each dollar in your wallet becomes. That's called, they call it quantitative easing now, QE. You'll hear them refer to it as, this causes inflation in the monetary supply. And eventually it could lead to a situation of hyperinflation. I'm talking about the US dollar right now. And this is one of the reasons why, I'm going to urge you to get into Bitcoin and start learning about this. Especially for our Christian audience out there. Most of you are totally ignorant on this. Your pastors are ignorant on this. Your pastors love using Illuminati money, with their little pyramids on the back of it and everything. The good old American greenback. This is a better money. This is a more honest money. This is I would say, a more Christian money, So, but the nice thing about Bitcoin is there is a finite supply, so you know how much there's ever going to be. There's about 17.4 million of them in existence right now. And again, there will only be ever 21 million. So think about that. There's like, is there 7 billion people on the planet now, or is there 9 billion? I forgot. I think it's 7 billion, right? Right. So think about that. There's only going to be 21 million. There's 1,000 millions in 1 billion. So that means that there's just no possible way that everybody on the whole planet Earth could ever own a whole Bitcoin. Well, that would be impossible. They can't even really own a small fraction of a Bitcoin. So my goal here today is to encourage you to go out and at least get a small fraction of a Bitcoin. It's divisible by a lot. You can buy $5 worth of Bitcoin. You can buy $50 worth of Bitcoin. You can buy $2,000 worth of Bitcoin. Today, a Bitcoin is worth like $5,100, let's say, give or take. $5,100 for one Bitcoin.
Right. And instead of saying parts of a Bitcoin, let's just say you wanted to buy 50% of one Bitcoin. So you would put out $2,500.
Think about a Bitcoin as it's not an actual coin. It just exists digitally, but it's a unique property that you own. Okay. So this is very important. You say, what is a Bitcoin? Oh, do I get an actual coin or something? No, you don't. You own private keys that unlocks basically your property that is on what's called a blockchain. It's on a digital ledger, which is a universal digital ledger. I'll use the word global, even though I don't believe in globes, but around the earth, let's put it that way, all connected. And that digital ledger will verify that you own this, that this is yours and it's only yours, and nobody can ever take it away from you. Okay, nobody can ever take it away from you if you're securing it yourself. And I'm not going to get all into security here. I'll do a special show on that and how to secure it and everything. But the important thing to know today is that if you go and you buy some Bitcoin, and like Forrest said, you can buy a half of a Bitcoin. So a half of a Bitcoin would be what? It would be like $2,600 today, right? You could get 0.5 Bitcoin. So you'll own 0.5 Bitcoin. That could be divisible by, 100 million units. Okay. So don't worry. If this thing ever goes to $1 million, it'll be divisible by many slices of pizza. Don't worry. You can always devise this up. The numbers go on for a long time. That's why it's divisible by so much, because it's going to go up by a lot in the future. At least I believe it is. Okay. So, but you want something. People will tell you to buy gold, buy silver, but you want to get some Bitcoin, because this is being billed as, at least by the powers that sort of be in the financial markets, as gold 2.0. That it is a digital gold, and it is an amazing store of value. Although the thing is about the gold is heavy. Gold is confiscatable. Bitcoin is not confiscatable, okay, if you know what you're doing, all right? And that's not what I'm here to teach today. But if you know what you're doing, that even if you owe $1 million to the IRS or something, they can't go into your Bitcoin account and take it. If you have it on an exchange, that's a different story. They could probably take it. But if you have it in your own possession, in your own wallet, no one can ever take it from you. So that's a beautiful thing. And I'm not just saying that. I'm just using that as an example with the IRS. I'm not saying don't pay your taxes or anything like that. Follow your own conscience with that stuff. But the beautiful thing is it's your own Swiss bank account in your pocket. It's your own Swiss bank account, right? And when you think about Swiss bank accounts, you think about safety, you think about secrecy. And so that's kind of what it is.
No, the way I look at, so people can get a visual in your head, the way I look at the way you put your Bitcoin into its own particular set of passwords, keys, encryption. In other words, it's your Bitcoin and no one can touch it. So let's go from that premise. Imagine if you could drive your car into a storage facility. You know those storage facilities on the side of the road, the you store it facility? Yeah. So you go into the storage facility and you drive your car, and you have 1,000 or 1,000,000 different driveways. Once you get inside, you have a million different choices in which way you're going to go. And then once you go down that road, you can have a million more different choices in which way you can go. The bottom line is that your Bitcoin, if you store it properly and protect it properly, the only person that can ever unlock your Bitcoin is you. And that's really, really important to know. And that's the technology behind what is called the blockchain that prevents this theft of this, what's the word I'm looking for, Don?
Of a digital asset, which is what Bitcoin is. It's a digital asset. So it's your asset. It's your money. Think of Bitcoin as money. It is money.
It's like walking into a bank and you go to the safety deposit boxes, and instead of there being 500 of them, there's 500 million safety deposit boxes. And you need 16 different keys to open up one box. And guess what? You're the only one who has the keys. The banker doesn't have the keys at all. So that's the way I look at it. So if you wanted to keep yourself safe, Bitcoin the storage is very safe. And then Don mentioned something about the exchanges, which most of them are very safe. But then we can also talk about government regulations and why the government has been so reticent in adopting Bitcoin until recently. Now they're getting on board. It's taking some time, but they're getting on board. But I think my opinion about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is it's actually very simple. Governments who produce what is known as fiat currency, in other words, United States dollars, yen, whatever it happens to be, Deutschmarks, the kroner, the ruble, they want to control. They want to have a piece of control over those that use their currency. And once you take that control away from the government, you end up with only one particular currency, and that's called Bitcoin. That's it. There's no other currency that does what Bitcoin does that I know of.
Yeah, and I think, one of my fears when I first started buying Bitcoin years ago was that, well, this is super high risk. And the reason why I thought that was, it wasn't because I feared Bitcoin was going to get hacked or crashed or something like that, although that was always a possibility. But Bitcoin is now 10 years old. So we've got a lot of pedigree and track record behind it now. Okay, it's not brand new. You might have just heard about it, but believe me, it's on 10 years. It's over 10 years old. But one thing that I worried about was whether the government would step in and ban it. If the government would step in and put the kibosh on it. If banks would say, we're not dealing with this crap. Now, I started to buy it as a libertarian, and we were planning on using this as a means of exchange amongst ourselves. That we can buy goods and services from each other, just like I can take a lot of cash and I could go buy pretty much anything I want. Cash is still accepted in most places, right? So if I wanted to do a private transaction and I wanted to buy something privately, if I want to go buy a piece of artwork from an artist down the street and he's charging me $5,000 for it, well, I could go take $5,000 of cash and give it to him, and it's a private transaction, and now I own the piece of art. Right. But my big thing was, so that was the whole libertarian thing behind it, is like, we're going to be able to transact. We need a money that we can transact with outside of the government. And the fear always was that the government was going to come in and put the kibosh on it, slam it down, make it illegal. That's what people were saying. They're going to pass laws. They're going to declare Bitcoin illegal. Anybody dealing with it can go to jail and all of this. And that's what scared a lot of people away. That's definitely what scared like Wall Street and stuff away, because they wanted to see how it would play out. But anyway, I bought a little bit, and then I start to like it more. The more you study Bitcoin, the more you get into it, the more you learn, the more you start to like it. I think you would agree with that. But what happened is now as the years went on and the market developed and matured, the government started to say, we were kind of puzzled by this, but now all these big money players are in there who have influence over the government and stuff. So the government is sort of going to kowtow to them. So, yeah.
But in the beginning of Bitcoin, and this is very crucial, Bitcoin was virtually worthless. It had no perceived value to the government. It wasn't a threat to the government in its infancy.
It was a joke.
It was a joke. It was just something that a bunch of nerds had come up with. But then a lot more nerds, if that's even proper grammar, started to acquire more Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin.
And even use Bitcoin.
And then even used it, right? Say they wanted to buy a computer or whatever, or a piece of software.
Or they wanted to buy drugs on the dark net. That is part of Bitcoin's history, and I'm not going to shy away from that.
No, Bitcoin, but listen, everything in this world can be used for good or evil. And I've heard the argument that, Bitcoin's nothing more than a way to get pornography and snuff films.
It's the only way to get drugs. Isn't that the drug money?
Well, guess what? Everything can be used to get evil. Everything, people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
If you've got a cornfield in Iowa filled with corn, you can get that corn to somebody and get all the nasty, illegal stuff you want by giving them that corn. So look, Bitcoin goes from $0 to $10 to $100 to $200. And 10 years later, Bitcoin is now at $5,000, basically $5,200. So you got to ask yourself, what do you think? And Don, this question's not for you. You have to ask yourself, what do you think the value of Bitcoin will be in 10 years from now? At that point, Bitcoin will have been around 20 years, almost one full generation, depending on how long you define a generation. And every economy in the world will be using blockchain. The question is, do you want to make the gamble or the bet or the belief or whatever you want to call it that Bitcoin will become gold 2.0? In other words, virtual gold? Why not?
I mean, it already is. It is a better gold right now. You know, it really is. It's just not as pretty.
So if for all of you who think that gold is of value,
although I think it's as pretty,
and let's not even get into diamonds or that fake paradigm of diamonds. They've got a mountain of diamonds, by the way, people, mountains of them. Granted, there quote unquote doesn't seem to be that much gold in the world, but go try to buy some. Go ahead. Just run out today and go try to buy $100,000 worth of gold bars. Good luck with that.
Is it hard to do? I'm not even aware. I've never tried to do that.
It's extremely hard to do. You acquiring gold on that level at the price of gold.
Even at just like $100,000 worth of gold is hard to buy.
You can buy it, but you're not. It's not going to be as easy as you think. Is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay, interesting.
It's not. Right. If you want to go buy gold jewelry, they'll sell it to you all day long because you're not paying for the price of the gold. You're paying for the gold plus. People are always shocked that their $18,000 gold chain that they wore around their neck is only worth $350. Big shocker. The jewelry industry is in on the fix. So, look, Bitcoin eliminates a lot of problems. It sort of keeps honest men honest, really, quite frankly.
Yeah, and let me jump in there real quick because that's a very good point. Thank you for bringing it up. Everything in Bitcoin is verifiable on the blockchain, right? So this is actually why it's not good for transacting on dark markets and buying drugs with, not at all. And for evading taxes and things like that. It's really actually not. It's actually not good for those kind of things. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why the governments have warmed up to it. They're very easy for them to catch people who are doing nefarious things with their Bitcoin. It's a lot. Let me tell you this: it's a lot more easier to trace than cash ever was. and will ever be.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Cash is the number one way to transact around the world for anything illegal.
Yeah.
Anything illegal.
Yeah, cash is. I mean, watch some videos on Pablo Escobar, and some of the dramatizations that they have, like in Netflix films and stuff. Carlos and those things. They show you they're trying to bury the cash in the jungles and stuff, because the cash is the only thing that can stay off the radar, right? And I know a lot of Christians are worried. Well, we're moving to a cashless society, and Bitcoin might be the mark of the beast and everything. Listen, don't worry about that. The nice thing is you can own it. There's other cryptos too that are out there that are more private, that you can quickly transfer a Bitcoin, like say into a Monero. And again, I want to keep this on Bitcoin. But what I want to say is, once you get into the world of Bitcoin, I also want to say, once you learn about Bitcoin, then your world will open up a little bit more to other cryptocurrencies that are out there. Bitcoin's not going to be the only cryptocurrency at the end of the day. But it's definitely one that you want to own some of. You want to get your little slice of Bitcoin, whatever that is, whatever you can safely afford to lose, as everybody seems to say in this industry. And there's always a chance that it could, crash or whatever, go down. But I wouldn't worry too much about that. I would just get some. And I just want to talk about a couple points about Bitcoin, which is why a couple reasons why I feel like you should get it. So first of all, the title of the Bitcoin white paper by the creator of Bitcoin, who is unknown, by the way, the title of the white paper was Peer-to-Peer Electronic Cash. Think about that. Electronic cash, right? So just like we can we could pay each other. We can actually make bets with each other if we wanted to. I hate using drugs, but look, if I wanted to, I could buy drugs from you with cash, right? Well, it's the same kind of principle with Bitcoin. You can use Bitcoin to buy whatever you want, right? So it's peer-to-peer cash. The beautiful thing about the peer-to-peer means there's no middleman, right? So there's no government or bank or central bank in the middle of it. It's just people freely transacting with each other, just like you would with cash. If I go to buy something from you with $100 and I hand it to you, and then you give me $100 worth of a good or a service, that's, first of all, it's kind of private that we had that transaction. And it's between us, and it's me to you. We didn't need a bank in the middle of it. Now, ironically, we did need a bank to create the money, though, right? Because that's where our money comes from, right? And they're always creating more of it, and that's why it becomes worth less and less. But just keep that in mind. Bitcoin will work the same way as cash, but better than cash. Okay, so that's the number one reason that you want it. And we're cutting out the government, and we're cutting out the banks that are in the middle of it. I already mentioned before that we have a finite supply. There's only going to ever be 21 million of them. If you can get one whole Bitcoin, if you can afford that, if you can safely afford that, like today, go out and get one. I'm telling you, just go out and get one and keep it on the exchange. Let me just give a little side note here to, what do I do with it? Go on Coinbase.com, Coinbase, BASE.com, or Gemini.com in New York, or Gemini.com. You can actually buy it anywhere. Or Kraken. These are safe U.S. exchanges. I would suggest Coinbase or Gemini. Go on there. You connect your bank account. You buy a Bitcoin. And that's it. They will hold it for you. You don't even have to worry about it. It's just like a bank account. They will hold on to your Bitcoin for you, and it will just be sitting there nice and safe. Could the exchange get hacked? Could they lose their money? Yeah, maybe. But these exchanges are almost too big to fail at this point. And they do have insurance as well, as far as I know. But do your own due diligence on that. But they do have insurance on their holdings. That's another big step in the right direction, right? So I'm not telling you to learn how to hold your Bitcoin and be safe with it and all that. That's a whole other thing. But you can buy Bitcoin, and you can keep it at the bank. When I say bank, I mean exchange, Coinbase.com. They have a banking license, I believe. So just go and buy it. Just go and get some. If you're in Europe or China or whatever, you're going to have to look for your most reputable local exchange who deals in Bitcoin. Okay, and just do that. So once you buy it, it's yours until you sell it, cash it out, or you spend it. And otherwise, you just hold it, just like you would cash. So it's the same thing as cash. Think if you had $10,000 in your house right now, and you might be worried about it, right? Like, where am I going to put this? What if somebody broke in, just saw it sitting there? You wouldn't just leave it out in the open, but it's yours. You are free to go out and buy goods with that. You're free to go gamble with that. You're free to do whatever you want with that cash, right? You can go spend it. You can go buy groceries for your family. So the Bitcoin that you own, it will be yours until you sell it, or you spend it, or you give it away. Okay? And another benefit that I talked about earlier was that it's unconfiscatable. Now, if you leave it on the exchange, it will be possibly confiscatable by a government if you owe them money or something. So I don't want to promise you that. This is the part where you got to learn more about Bitcoin. You got to learn how to custody it yourself, how to take care of it.
Well, to use a metaphor, if you want to pack up your gold bars and head off to Nairobi for some reason, I don't know why you'd want to go to Nairobi, but it's going to be a lot of.
Imagine how heavy that would be, getting through customs with gold bars.
It's a lot of weight. You're going to have to move it along, and you're going to have to hire a security guard to take it with you. And
how would you get into another country with a bunch of gold bars? I have no idea.
You'd have to use an international courier service that is bonded, the whole 9 yards, and
and
you don't get to move gold into foreign countries without permission of the country. You don't get to do it.
Right. And for all you preppers out there, I know a lot of Christians are like, we're preppers, we're waiting for them to shut down the grid and everything. Well, if you guys like, you're stocking up on gold and silver, well, you better just hope on just hunkering down here in this country. But what if it really gets bad and you got to leave the country? You got to go to Canada, you got to go to Mexico, you got to go to South America, right? Are you going to be able to like throw all your silver that you've been hoarding for years on your back and go off to another place? No,
I think that they are hunkered down.
They're hunkering down. Yeah.
I also think, I don't think they're going anywhere. Look, I think they're storing their stuff in the hills or in the ground.
Yeah.
And look,
and I'm not saying that's a terrible thing. I mean, that might.
No, I don't think it's a terrible thing at all. Not at all.
That might be the strategy that works out best. I have no idea. Wouldn't you want part of your strategy to be an unconfiscatable thing that you can literally carry in your head or on a very, very small device?
Well, Don, I'm going to say something to you, and I'm sure you're aware. There are more and more people who are, quote unquote, preppers, constitutionalists.
Right.
Who are buying. Sure.
Yeah, and I like those kind of people.
They are buying Bitcoin. They are actually buying it. There is nothing.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
There is a small segment that is starting to buy it, and the word is spreading. So we're just part of that.
Right. And like I said, there are even other cryptocurrencies that are even more private. I'm not going to get into that on this episode.
That would be a waste of time at this point.
We're going to color code episodes so that if you're going through whatever podcasting you're listening to and you see an orange one, that'll be about crypto. And if you see a blue one, that's just our standard podcast.
We're going to start pushing this a little bit more, and we are looking for billionaires out there who want to help us with our channel. So if you're a billionaire, and by the way, you do have to be
only billionaires.
Only billionaires. If you have $900 million, we're not interested. You must be a billionaire.
You better get that PayPal account open so that we can get that help delivered to us.
No. I only accept.
Because they're not going to know how to use the Bitcoin. I got to put up I'll put up a Bitcoin address.
Well, no. No. They can just hire a U-Haul and back the truck up to my house with cash.
Oh, wait a second. Am I going to be there?
Well, hold on now. No, because the Bitcoins are way too heavy, and they show the gold Bitcoins that everyone sees, and people actually believe that that's what you get. You know that, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing, people. When you've seen if you Google Bitcoin or whatever, you look at images, they'll show you like a gold coin with a B on it. That's an artist.
Right.
That's just a representation. It's nothing.
But people believe that that's what they.
Yeah, I know. But you can't blame them. They don't know.
I'm going to go off on a rant here about the nerds. Look, I used to be a nerd.
Nerds.
I had my Microsoft Certified Solutions Engineering, yada, yada, back in the late 90s.
Were you the guy that screwed up my computer, what I called it?
I am. I was on the nerd squad. My girlfriend is a pitcher. So anyway.
Thanks for the blue screen, dude.
This is my new wife, Candy. She's on the internet. She's not real. She's a hologram. So, listen, the nerds, what they do is they like to protect their nerdism. So they're so used to talking in acronyms and tech speak that when they publish something or try to promote something, they forget that the rest of the world doesn't understand a word they say.
Right. And that's why we're trying to keep it simple here, right?
Trying to keep it simple. And I have a real problem with nerds. I have a real problem with the way they write and the way they talk. And by the way, if you're a nerd and you can't accept what I'm saying is true, then you must be an exceptionally good nerd, because the nerds I'm talking about, I don't know what it is with these guys, but their answer always is the same. Oh, no, everybody knows that. No, they don't know that.
Right. And that's a big problem in Bitcoin. And that's why it hasn't really taken off beyond $5,000 to $50,000 yet, is because they have not been able to convey this stuff to the masses. Now,
that's because they haven't hired me to do it.
Right. And listen, for any of you listening out there, hopefully we're explaining this in a simple way, in just a conversational way, just two guys talking about Bitcoin. You can pass this episode along to friends or family, and they can talk about it. But getting back to talking a little bit more about the details about Bitcoin, I just wanted to let you know that it's a very simple thing. That's what we want to talk to you about, is how easy this is for you to get in there and buy some. You go to Coinbase.com or you go to Gemini.com. Think about these as banks, like bankofamerica.com. Instead, it's a new breed company, right? These are companies that are highly regulated, by the way. I'm talking about in the U.S. here. There are others in Europe and stuff. I can't speak about all of them. So there's a lot of different exchanges. I'm giving you just a couple. Coinbase and Gemini here in the States, and I think they serve the world as well. But you can buy Bitcoin different ways. But make sure you get in there and get and hook up to your bank account and just get a little bit of it. Get a little slice of this pie, because this thing's going to take off. It might take off by the end of this year. It might take off in 2 years. I don't know. But you don't want to miss out, and you don't want to start buying the stuff when it's already $100,000 or $1 million or something. Get some now, and that will be worth a lot in the near future. But
listen, with that all being said, and I know that you put the caveat there in the beginning of the show here, but I don't care what your concept of wealth accumulation is. They say gold could never be destroyed. They say silver's never going down in value. Gold's never going down in value. There are no guarantees. So do not go crazy investing half of your assets into any digital currency, into anything. Yeah. Don't do that.
Right.
Don't.
And that's not what I'm.
No, I know.
I
want to make people, because people get excited. No, they get excited, Don, and they go overboard. If you have a mental condition, you should talk to your therapist first, is my opinion, because you don't want to make any decisions without really being financially, because I don't ever want anyone to end up homeless or something stupid like that.
Well, I have a feeling that there'll be a lot of people either going homeless if you don't look out after some of these things and look out after your future.
No, I agree, and we could probably talk about that all night. In fact, Don, I wanted to. I don't know how much more we can talk about Bitcoin at this point, but I will say this. Look, one of the things you need to do.
It's an infinite subject matter, though. It really is, pretty much.
It's an infinite subject matter to a degree, but I would say this much. You've heard about it now. Get on Google and start, what is Bitcoin? How does Bitcoin work? Now, be careful. There's some really nasty articles out there. There's some other stuff. So you're going to have to really weed through it. But you should start to educate yourself. And I know Don will try to educate people the best he can with an upcoming series he's going to put together on Bitcoin. But look, I don't want anyone out there to go crazy over this to the point you should educate yourself and definitely get yourself on board. If you're financially insolvent and it doesn't matter what we talk about and you could never afford to buy anything and you're just going hand to mouth, then this conversation has no bearing for you. It has nothing for you. But if you're making, if you have an extra $5,000 a year that you could invest into something, well, you might want to consider, putting half of that into Bitcoin at least.
And listen, if you're 3 weeks, if you're the person you can't go 3 weeks without a paycheck, or you will be on the street. Bitcoin is not for you. Yeah, maybe I should have said that right up front. I'm talking about people with some money in the bank. They have some assets. Maybe you own a home. You own your car. You're pretty responsible with your money. Maybe you own some stocks already. You have a 401k. You don't have to have all these things. I'm just saying you have some of these things. Okay, if you're living hand to mouth and you work like a minimum wage job, look, I don't think Bitcoin is your ticket to get rich or anything. Okay, that's not what I'm saying here.
That's the wrong ticket. The right ticket for you would be education.
Right. So what I'm saying is, for the people that do have some money here, get out and get some. Okay, get out and get some. And for those of you who are more financially challenged and stuff, figure out ways to make more money. There is a lot of opportunity in this world now. Got to break out of the. I'm not saying it's easy, but pray to God. God helps us so many ways, and He'll lead you a way that you can make a little money. But anyway, so listen. To finalize the whole thing about Bitcoin, I just want to encourage people. Let me give you a couple movies to watch. How about a couple movies, right? Because people like movies, and
I'd like a good movie to watch. I'm just going to buy Netflix tonight, but I'm trying to use I'm trying to use your account to buy it.
Here's one called Bitcoin: The End of Money as We Know It. Bitcoin: The End of Money as We Know It. There's another one called. This one I didn't see, Life on Bitcoin. That's people probably living on Bitcoin. That one probably sucks. I don't know if I watched that one. Bitcoin in Uganda. Never heard of that one. The Rise and Rise of Bitcoin. I've watched that one. I liked it. I recommend it. It's called The Rise and Rise of Bitcoin. So check that one out. I think it might be on Netflix, but some of these you can find on YouTube or on Amazon Streaming Prime. The Rise and Rise of Bitcoin. I think that one's on Netflix. I don't know if I want to recommend the rest of these. The Rise and Rise of Bitcoin is a good one, and you'll get some of the history of Bitcoin and stuff like that. So check it out. Learn about Bitcoin, get into it, and then I would say definitely go get some. It's basically at this point, I don't think it's so much more irresponsible than telling you to buy some silver, buy some gold. Okay, it's not crazy anymore. Okay.
Well, Don, listen. I'm going to put together a video with your help on how an average person, we're going to walk them step by step on how to acquire Bitcoin, an actual video.
Right. That's the one you were talking about, where they send us $3,000 and we send them 0.000001 Bitcoin.
That's in the fine print, Don. This is how we make our money, bro. We rip people off. This is what we do. This is the entire purpose of this podcast, bro, is to make money.
I heard once a bank robber, always a bank robber, but I tell people, no, he's reformed. No, he has the Lord now.
That's not true. That's not true. I know a lot of bank robbers who would never go back to doing it again. Most of the ones I knew that did that, though, were drug addicts like me.
Right.
Yeah, the drug addict thing, boy. Woo. Let's not even get down that rabbit hole right now.
That's just so crazy. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. That turns you into a bank robber of all things. My goodness, drugs.
Well, it turns people into far worse than bank robbers. And I'm not right. saying I'm a great guy.
The sin that comes from it. Yeah,
I'm saying that when this happened to me, I was 39 years old, and now I'm 39 and a half. So this, if you're looking at my picture right now, I'm not 39 and a half. But yeah, 15 years in prison it should be a wake-up call to anybody. And I was in prison, by the way, in different prisons, and a lot of white-collar criminals who ripped off millions, some even in excess of $1 billion. And they cried the blues. But the bottom line is, look, the whole bank robber thing is behind me, blah, blah, blah. Go ahead.
No, that's I know it's behind you, and it's the title of our show. So it's always in front of us as well. So remind you of what a wretched sinner you were. But that's the way we all are, and we're all wretched sinners in one way or another. So anyway, folks, I did want to just tell you, just keep it crypto at this segment. Talked about Bitcoin. I recommended a couple movies for you to go watch, research it. Do not go on YouTube and do not click like, oh, the Bitcoin price is going to $1 million and watch that video. It will be a waste of your time. It'll just be some speculator trying to pump up the price and stuff. It's just ridiculous. Don't ever watch those. Watch the movies. Watch more instructional things. There was a guy called Andreas Antonopoulos. Just type in Bitcoin and Andreas Antonopoulos. Try to spell it, and it'll come up. He does wonderful educational presentations on Bitcoin as well. So I know we didn't cover everything here. I probably left out a million different things that people would tell me about, but I did want to give you a little bit of an introduction into Bitcoin. My belief, and I believe Forrest as well, is that that if you can afford it, if you have disposable income, if you have investments and things like that, go get yourself some Bitcoin. If you don't, learn about it and make, when you make more money, I would suggest putting a very small portion of your paycheck that you don't need for bills or something into Bitcoin, because I believe over time it will rise in value. So even if it goes down tomorrow or whatever, it goes up and down, but ultimately, if you look at the chart, it's ultimately going way up over time. And time, I mean years. So, don't get into Bitcoin to make $1 million tomorrow. Get into Bitcoin to make $1 million in a few years. And I don't think you're going to need too much money to do that. That's my belief. That's not financial advice. Okay, that's going to do it for this week. Be sure to look for our crypto shows in the future by color code on the thumbnails in the podcast applications. They will always be orange. And our regular episodes will always be in blue, so you can tell very easily. Also, feel free to write us at BRBGshow@gmail.com with questions or comments. That's BRBGshow@gmail.com, Bank Robber Bitcoin Guy. And if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, our Twitter handle is BRBGshow. Very simple. So anyway, that's it for this week. Hope you join us for more crypto episodes in the future. And I hope you join us on our regular Christian episodes as well. I think we put the Bible in a very simple, easy to understand way, in a practical way. And we love following the Lord, and we love talking about the Lord. So maybe you can join us in that at some time too. So God bless you all, and have a great week.